everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Let's go to iflscience.com. There's a man-made barrier surrounding our planet. I saw this the other day, and I found this extremely interesting. Of course, my good friends over at The Daily Sheeple, they went and posted an article on this as well, and you can check it out at thedailysheeple.com. It says, we've accidentally created a barrier around our planet. And while it might not be a futuristic force field, it's still damn cool. NASA researchers have discovered that certain radio communications known as VLF, or very low frequency, are capable of interacting with particles in space, moving them in certain directions. And we know we can affect the space weather around our planet. But this discovery might lead to ways that we could actually manipulate it. Oh, great. Because, you know, the whole chemtrail thing isn't bad enough. Oh, pardon me, persistent contrails. I wouldn't want to offend anybody. So the whole chemtrail thing is interesting because we've learned now to manipulate our weather and have known how to manipulate our weather for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, we can go back to World War II and see cloud seeding experiments gone wrong, especially over in the UK. I think there was a cloud seeding experiment in the 40s where they, oopsie-daisy, put too much silver iodide up in the atmosphere, and next thing you know, they got like 2 feet of rain in 20 minutes and washed out a whole city or a whole town. And so, yeah, there's a certain problem when humans start saying, oh boy, now that we see this, why, we can manipulate it. It never ends well for us, folks. Things always go screwy when human beings try to manipulate. Oh, it may start off all well and good. And like I say, the road to hell is paved by good intentions. And believe me, we're on the highway to hell, as AC/DC said. Quote, a number of experiments and observations have figured out that under the right conditions, radio communication signals in the VLF frequency range can in fact affect the properties of the high energy radiation environment around the Earth. Now listen to this. This was Phil Erickson who said that. He's assistant director at the MIT Haystack Observatory. Now, I've been doing RF communications for over 20 years. And I can tell you that anything from the HF, VLF, LF, in and around there doesn't escape our atmosphere. Okay? It bounces back down. VLF does the same thing. It only gets but so far and it bounces back down. The reason is because the wavelength is so long that it can't penetrate our atmosphere. So what this does is it heats the atmosphere. It heats the upper ionosphere. This is what things like HAARP do. The HAARP array up in Alaska and others like it actually heat up the atmosphere because these waves cannot penetrate the atmosphere, and instead it heats it and expands the ionosphere out into space, sometimes up to 200 miles. It also pumps all this energy out into space to do exactly what this says. It creates a plasma environment. It excites the particles that are out there. This is not new stuff. This is stuff that Bernard Eastlund, Dr. Bernard Eastlund figured out well, late 70s, early 80s, 30, 40 years ago, if not prior to that. The Russians utilized a version of HAARP back in the 60s, and it was a handheld or a mini version of HAARP that they used. They pointed it at the embassy of the United States over in Moscow, and next thing you know, you had people dealing with depression and all sorts of other problems, because when you get down into this frequency spectrum, you start getting into the frequency spectrum that human beings operate at, around the 8 to 11 hertz range, and in doing so, you start messing with the brain activity. And so there's a lot more to this than just, oh, we've created a false force field around our planet. No, that's not exactly what's happened. What we've done is, and if you ask me, this is a very, very politically correct way of endorsing HAARP, in endorsing manipulating our upper atmosphere, which, if you ask me, is suicide. Which maybe this is the whole reason why people like Stephen Hawking are screaming that we need to colonize and get off this planet as soon as possible. Perhaps people in the science community know that what we're doing is destructive, and perhaps the risk so high that we could be doing grave danger to our planet, ultimately, setting the stage for a future extinction level event. We don't know. But what I can tell you is that screwing with this kind of stuff almost always leads to harmful side effects, much like Big Pharma. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day, everybody.